and a warm welcome to The Pulse, your one-stop show that gets you issues impacting the society. I'm Neelu Vyas. Health insurance is in a developing stage in India where, according to the Family Health Survey, less than one-third of households have at least one member covered under universal insurance or health scheme. Besides the huge economic and the social costs involved, the awareness level regarding a health insurance policy is also far from satisfactory. Are we careful about the terms and conditions of a health policy while filling up the proposal form, or we just leave it to the agents? Well, recently, Supreme Court of India said that failure on the part of a person to reveal the past history of disease is a valid ground for rejecting his or her insurance policy benefits. What does this observation mean for the insured, the insurer, as well as the health insurance sector in India, and how will it impact the lives of the people? Joining me now is Krishnan Ramachandran. He is CEO, Apollo Munich. Next, I welcome him on the program. Next to him is Dr. Kiran Gupta, Associate Professor, Faculty of Law, Delhi University. I welcome her also on the program. Next to her is Dr. Gagan Malhotra. He's Senior Pediatrician and Physician and also Secretary of the Indian Medical Association. Welcome you on the program. And also joining us on the Skype, a very important guest for the show. Joining us from Hyderabad, Suresh Mathur, Executive Director, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India. I welcome you on the program, and I also welcome this brilliant audience which is joining us on the program. So let's have a huge round of applause at the beginning of the show and for these panelists who are joining us on the program. And I hope that we are able to answer all your queries which you will be raising throughout the course of the program. Let me begin today's program with Mr. Mathur, that the recent observation which was given by the Supreme Court, which I quote again, and it says that failure on the part of a person to reveal the past history of disease is a valid ground for repudiation. It is a case of a petitioner called Manish Gupta. So how do you really interpret the case, and how do you explain it to the audience, what it means as far as the larger messaging is concerned?
I would say that the insurance contracts are contracts of utmost good faith. Both the parties of the contract, the insurance company and the insured, both have to disclose all the material facts when they enter into a contract. So that's how the Supreme Court has said. Both parties have to trust each other, and for me, that's what it means.
Okay. Okay, so you say that this health insurance is a contract of trust, as Mr. Mathur says. I'll come to you, Mr. Ramachandran, that as far as the trust is concerned, it seems to be only on paper, because many times, and largely there is a perception that, whatever the insurance companies are offering, it doesn't really translate into the delivery to that extent as what is being promised. Is that true?
I will take a minute for the audience, and you also mentioned that insurance awareness in our country is not where it needs to be. I will take a minute to explain how insurance works, how health insurance works. It works on the concept of pooling, which is, let's say that the audience here is 100 people. Each of them pays a premium of 1 rupee each. So that's 100 rupees overall in the pool as premium. The insurance company makes an assumption about the number of people who fall sick. Let's say that number is 4 or 5. It also makes an assumption on what will be the average claim when a person falls sick. Let's say that 4 people is the assumption who will fall sick. And let's say that the average claim assumption is 20 rupees or 22 rupees, which means 100 rupees premium, 22 rupees into 4, 88 rupees claims. So then this pool is sustainable. For this pool to be sustainable, the most important thing, and I'll use a technical phrase here, is that all the people who are being allowed in or let into the pool conform to the assumptions of the insurance company. And there is a phenomenon called adverse selection, which is that people who know that they are sick will want to get into this pool.
Right.
So instead of 4 people becoming sick, it could become 10 people. So the whole insurance contract, as Mr. Mathur said, is to make sure that this pooling works as per the technical assumptions of the insurance company. So whether it is waiting periods or exclusions or what is put into the contract, it is to make sure that people disclose prior health conditions so that the insurance pool can
Okay,
work.
so basically you are trying to explain that how you make this entire contract sustainable.
Correct.
By explaining this pooling and also the waiting period you spoke about. We'll come to these technical details and also explain it to the audience as to how it translates for them as a successful health insurance model. But my question to you, Dr. Kiran, is that in legal terms, how do you really interpret this observation of Supreme Court? And what is the larger messaging according to you?
The message of the Supreme Court in the cases which are recently decided, one of them is which we are going to discuss. There are other cases also recently decided. Some of them are decided on the same day by Justice Chandrachud himself. The message is that insurance contract is a speculative contract. And how it is speculative has already been discussed by Mr. Mathu and Sir. What is required is that it is a contract which require utmost faith between the parties. There are two parties, the person who has to be insured and the other party, the insurer. They both of them must act in good faith. Both are involved in it. The interest of both of them are to be secured. Interest of insurer has to be secured by disclosing all facts. Maybe material, may not be material. As per the verdict of the court, whatever is written in the proposal form, all that the insurer deems it to be material fact. So whatever is required to be written, filled in that form, has to be filled, is a material fact, and it should be filled truly without concealing anything. There must not be misrepresentation or concealment.
Can I just interrupt and ask you, when you say that these are material facts, can you just explain? I'm sure a lot of people would not understand. What are material facts? What exactly are you hinting at?
As far as insurance is concerned, material facts are those facts which will help in deciding whether to insure that person with the insurer or not.
Okay.
For that, what the insurer want to know is what is the risk involved. So whether it is a very risky case, should be insured, should not be insured, these are the facts which decide the opinion, the decision of which makes the insurer to decide whether to insure the person or not. And secondly, they are helpful in deciding what should be the rate of insurance, that is what premium should be claimed and on what terms and conditions.
Okay, okay.
And for that, all facts which the insurer want to know, which he has written in the proposal form, should be filled without any malified intention, or maybe there is no malified intention, there is good intention, but if I know that these are the things relating to me which will affect the decision of the insurer to insure me or not to insure me and what to charge for my insurance, all these things, if I know them, it is my duty to put it on paper.
Right. But all the good intentions get thrown out of the window the moment a particular claim is rejected. But where does a hospital figure in this scenario? When you talk about a health insurance, there is a third party as well, which is assisting the hospitals. There is a patient, and then there is an insurance company. So where do the hospitals figure in this entire scenario? And then I'll go to the audience.
See, the hospital houses a doctor who's the patient has come for a consultation. The first thing we do is that treat the patient. And when we think that the treatment is not adequate and he needs an inpatient care, we hospitalize him. So as per the insurance rules, we need a minimum hospitalization period of 24 hours. And if it's a short stay or a procedure which is a day care procedure, like you can say lithotripsy or a cataract, it can be a day care procedure, which will be like a half-day hospitalization. So then we give the form, that is a form for filing the problem. What is the problem? What is the line of treatment? What is allopathic line of treatment? Because generally we use allopathic line of treatment. We are allopathic doctors. And then the duration of stay, and then the hospital staff, administrative staff will fill what kind of policy he has. He will verify the ID and the policy and also the amount of sum insured. And then we will put it for pre-authorization request, and it will go. Initially used to go by fax, now it goes by mail and phones. And then the insurance company will verify the facts again and give a pre-authorization, it allows, and then the patient can get a cashless facility
So basically, hospital facilitates between the
Yes,
insurer
and treats
the
and facilitates,
insured.
yes.
Okay, let me go to Mr. Mathur on this. When you talk
Yes,
about a
please.
proposal form, Mr. Mathur, many times India is a country where a lot of people they are not literate enough to understand the terms and conditions of a particular form. Now, how do you really make it simplified so that a layman can understand what the terms and conditions of a form are?
Yeah, while approving a product or approving a product, we look at the proposal form and whether all the material facts which are required for the underwriting by the insurer are available on this proposal form, and we try to simplify as much as possible, and that the insured, the prospect should understand and fill it completely, so as to help the the insurer to underwrite the proposal well. So we look into this,
But
and in
supposing,
most cases we have tried to standardize things.
but Mr. Mathur,
Proposal form is one of them.
okay. Mr. Mathur, supposing for a client, if it is difficult to understand the terms and conditions, then whom does he go to? The onus of explaining lies on the insurance company or the hospital? How do you really read that?
No, it lies with the insurance company, and all the products which are approved by us, all the insurer will have to put it on their website, which includes their features, their conditions, what is the coverage, what are the exclusions, all have to be listed by the insurers on their website. So all products are available on the website. So any prospect can go to the insurance company website and see for the product which he is buying.
Okay.
All information is available there.
Okay. So,
one more thing, ma'am.
yes.
And all the intermediaries are also mandated. All the intermediaries are also mandated to disclose, to explain the product well to the prospect.
Okay, Mr. Mathur. Yes. Mr. Ramchandran, you were saying
One more
something?
thing, ma'am, in addition to what Mr. Mathur said, under the guidance of the regulator, every insurer has to publish what is called a customer information sheet, which is a one-page document which summarizes all the important terms and conditions and features of the product.
Right.
So that's like a ready reckoner that's available to customers to understand.
Okay.
And there is one more point, that this proposal form, it has to be in English as well as in one local language which is recognized by
Okay. Now let me go to the people sitting here as part of the audience, and let me find out as to what are the problems they really confront when they start reading a proposal form, and how many of you actually read and take the pain of reading and going through the entire proposal form. Can you just raise your hands? Do you all take the pain of reading the entire form, or you just leave it to the agent?
We read, ma'am, the entire form. We definitely read the entire form. And I think we have no problem at all. I'm a carer of my sister, Lena, who's a multi-level genius, 141 IQ. She's a schizophrenic. I don't have any problem in declaring all that. We don't have any problem filling, so I don't see where that is being contested at all. Our problem is, and if I can ask the question to the esteemed panel, is that when are we going to get this? Mental Health Act has stipulated very clearly that a person with mental illness and physical illness need to be treated on equal terms.
Okay.
This has been fought out for generation of activists. So we're only asking for basic human rights. And carers face so many problems. Like forget about mental health. That's only if you're hospitalized, right? But most of us have, wards who are institutionalized. It costs us between 40 to 70,000 a month. Apart from, OPDs and surgeries. And so say our sister suddenly gets some physical ailment,
right.
God forbid. So why should she not? She's a person, right? And she's probably the weakest link in our society, somebody who needs constant care.
And you haven't got a health insurance?
No, I've been to several companies, and the notification has gone out by the government to companies in August 2018. Been to several companies, I'd not like to name them, but they just say, nahi, abhi product nahi hai, abhi ye nahi hai, wo nahi hai. And this is a similar experience of a lot of carers here. Hum log bhatak rahe hain yahan se wahan.
Okay, so on this particular query, let me go to Mr. Mathur. Mr. Mathur, we have a person in the audience you must have just heard. She's saying that she's gone about talking to various companies, and she's talking about the problems which the patients related to mental health are facing. When are things going to be institutionalized for them as far as the mental health patients are concerned?
No, we have already issued a circular on this issue, as in terms of the Mental Health Act, all this treatment has to be at par with the physical physical ailments.
Okay.
This is what we have already conveyed to all the insurers, and they cannot refuse mental health treatment.
But here the
in
person,
their policy.
But here the person in the audience says that she's gone about talking to a lot of people, but things have still not been formalized. So maybe you must have conveyed from your end, but the things are not trickling down as far as the implementation is concerned. So how and when do you see the implementation happening?
Well, we need to create more awareness on this issue. And also the implementation of the act is through the state government. Actually, health is a state subject. Okay. And the implementation agencies are in the state government. They can report such things to IRDA or to the state agencies also who actually implement the act.
Okay. Okay, but I'll come to you on this, but I don't want to restrict this entire decision only to the patients of the mental health problems, because it's a generalized discussion today about how we are approaching the health insurance in the country. What about the disclosures? And at the beginning of the program, we were talking about disclosing the pre-existing illness. And my question again to the audiences before I come to the panelists is that how many of you really take the pains of reading the proposal form? आप बहुत कम हाथ उठे थे जिन्होंने ये बोला कि उन्होंने पूरा फॉर्म पढ़ा. आप कुछ बोलना चाहते हैं इसमें?
मैं इसमें जो हम पॉलिसी इशूइंग करते हैं, व्हाट इज द प्रोसेस ऑफ इशूइंग द पॉलिसी ऑफ द इंश्योरेंस कंपनीज, उसको हम ये देखते हैं व्हेन दे इशूइंग द पॉलिसी देन दे हैव सम पैनल डॉक्टर्स आल्सो. Prior to issuing the policy, the all health checkup are required from the insurance company and they do it. But I think 70% company are not doing so. मतलब they वो चेकअप नहीं करते हैं. Immediately they issuing the policy, and when the customer facing some problems and he hospitalized, then they send his doctors, तो उनके पैनल डॉक्टर्स होते हैं, then they send to him. वहाँ से इनका एक TPA होता है जो सारा रिकॉर्ड लेता है, थर्ड पार्टी एजेंट, एंड दे एनालाइज द डॉक्यूमेंट्स. वहाँ पे कोई पास हिस्ट्री निकलती है, कुछ डिजीज़ ऐसी होती हैं जब हम पॉलिसी ले रहे हैं तब वो डिजीज़ आइडेंटिफाई नहीं हो पाती है. देन वहाँ पे कस्टमर जो पॉलिसी होल्डर होता है उसके लिए बड़ी समस्या उसके लिए बड़ी समस्या हो जाती है. एंड द इंश्योरेंस कंपनी ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट पॉइंट दे रिजेक्ट
ओके. एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट आपने उठाया है, एंड आई विल कम टू रामचंद्रन ऑन दिस. This entire this whole technique of going through the pre-existing diseases and your disclosures are not happening honestly on the basis of which the claims get rejected. How do you really define a pre-existing illness, and what are the categories of diseases which get bracketed into that fold? Can you just explain? Because like the confusion this person has, can you just explain it?
Sure. So two things. One is, and I think it's important that I want to use this forum to make this very important point, that by and large the insurance industry pays claims.
Okay.
So the Mr. Mathur can add to what I'm saying. The rejection rate, if we get 100 claims, we pay close to 92, 93 claims. So that's point number one. Secondly, to your question on what is a pre-existing condition, I'll explain this with an example. If somebody has diabetes, hypertension, any health condition or any health status which is likely to require treatment, whether today, tomorrow or day after, is a pre-existing condition. And as ma'am said, if you know that you have a medical condition, you must disclose it, and then it's up to the insurer to decide whether they want to accept the risk, reject the risk, or accept the risk with different terms.
Okay. But let me go to the audience. I'll come to you, ma'am. That as Mr. Ramachandran says, that many times patients don't disclose.
Yes.
What are the reasons? What is the hitch you have in your mind why you don't disclose certain illnesses? Let him speak. Let him speak. I'll come to you.
I complete this because this is very valid point.
Boli.
Actually, hypertension and diabetic, there are so many judgments which has been passed by the Supreme Court and National Commission and State Commission. Mr. Justice Kapoor has passed on that, and they have given the detail order on that. कि diabetic hypertension is not a disease, because diabetic और hypertension, now we are see the society आजकल खान पान जो हमारा रहने का तरीका है,
लाइफस्टाइल डिजीज की बात,
लाइफस्टाइल बिल्कुल इस तरह की होगी कि डायबिटिक ऐसी डिजीज नहीं है कि एकदम से पता चल जाए. नाउ आई एम बिल्कुल मैं ठीक हूँ, एकदम ठीक हूँ, मैंने पॉलिसी ले ली, बट 3 month, 4 month, 6 month, आफ्टर 6 month इफ आई फेस सम प्रॉब्लम, मैं हॉस्पिटल जाता हूँ, वहाँ पे वो आइडेंटिफाई हो जाती है, then there is a responsibility of the insurance company prior to issuing the policy. They should check कि the patient, the customer, the policy holder have any disease or not. If you have, they don't take the premium.
You've raised a valid point.
Once they have taken the premium, they can't reject the claim.
Okay, you have a valid point. So you were saying something.
मैं मैडम इन्हीं की बात को ही कहना चाह रहा था. मैं संजय जैन. वो तो हमने जो पॉलिसी जिस समय लेते हैं वो जो एजेंट आता है वो सभी उसकी जो प्लस पॉइंट्स हैं वो तो हमें सभी बताता है, परंतु जो माइनस पॉइंट्स हैं उनके बारे में कुछ नहीं बताता है. अब जो हाइपरटेंशन शुगर का है, हमारे यहाँ जिस समय 150 क्रॉस कर जाता है ब्लड प्रेशर, तब तो लोग डॉक्टर को दिखाने जाते हैं. उसे क्या पता बेचारे को कि उसके ब्लड प्रेशर का मरीज है वो. तो इस चीज़ के लिए भी अपना थोड़ा सा जो है, अब ये इंश्योरेंस वाले तो 1 मिनट में रिजेक्ट कर देते, भाई आप तो पुराना आपकी थ्योरी है, अपना उसे तो पता ही नहीं वो हाई ब्लड प्रेशर है या शुगर का मरीज है. शुगर जब तक बेहोश होकर नीचे नहीं गिर पड़ता वो शुगर का मरीज ही नहीं कहलाता है.
ओके, कुछ और भी लोग बोलना चाह रहे थे. माइक प्लीज पास कर दीजिए. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Myself is Sapna Acharya from Ayurveda Phase 2. At the initial stage, all the insurance policies, they are coming, agents are coming to our house. Their term and conditions is different. And at the time of release, there are some hidden policies are there. They are not disclosing that things. By that time, we customers are facing lot of problem. This is what I am telling you.
Mr. Ramachandran, you say that the rate of rejection is just 6 to 7%, but when you hear the people here, it seems that they are highly dissatisfied.
It's like, no.
We'll come to you one by one. We'll come to you one by one.
Ma'am, it's like this. When somebody has a bad experience, you tell 10 other people about it. When you have a good experience, you're likely not to tell others about it. I think that is the reality and the perception that the insurance... See, these are facts and figures that are available with the regulator.
Right.
I'm not misstating anything here. Certainly, it is not perfect. There is room for improvement. But I repeat, the reality is that the insurance companies, by and large, settle claims. That's been our experience. That's been the experience with all of the statistics that the industry has.
No, but another question on which I want to come to you, Dr. Malhotra, is that this entire concept of pre-existing diseases, like the gentleman here was raising a point that, how on earth do we know that, so all of a sudden if I get hypertension or diabetes, then how on earth would they be responsible? How do you really understand and interpret that for the patients who really don't know their medical condition except for the doctor and for the insurance company which is going to file the proposal for you?
See, the pre-existing diseases ideally should have been some congenital diseases like congenital malformations, heart diseases, which were born with birth, and some other diseases like sexually transmitted diseases. And as Madam just said, I was very empathetic about her sister's plight. I hope she recovers. These kind of illnesses, which mental illnesses, are strictly not covered. They are in a category of category of exclusion of pre-existing diseases. Also, psychotropic substance abuse like alcohol and drugs, and some suicidal tendencies, if something happens like that, self-destructive behavior, they are not covered by the policies. But coming to the lifestyle disorders and that's non-communicable diseases, ICDS class 10,
right,
like he just said, and sir also said, yes, we strongly agree, firstly, on the mental health problems, and these diabetes and those hypertension, they should be removed from the list of pre-existing diseases, or they can do that at the time of making the policy. They just should do a medical checkup, and if it is found, you can just raise the premium a bit, or maybe there's a lock-in period in many policies of 3 years or 4 years. Because the diabetes or hypertension does not mean that you are in the ICU.
Okay.
You can still correct, because it is lifestyle disorder. You can correct your eating habits, drinking habits, and your exercise and meditation. So these are all correctable problems, provided it don't have a genetic basis of that. And then they have a lock-in period of couple of years, and you can claim after that. Normally the policies work like that, if I'm not wrong.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. You were saying something.
Non-disclosure means not telling something which you know. If you don't know something about you, it does not amount to non-disclosure. It should be fraudulent. If you know that you are suffering from this disease and still you are not disclosing, then only it is non-disclosure.
Like this particular judgment of Manish Gupta, where the petitioner is, he knew about the congenital disease he had. If I'm reading it correctly.
Yeah, the judgment states, actually the Supreme Court overturned the Consumer Court judgment, where they had initially passed the issued the sum of 2.5 lakh rupees, and Mr. Manish had gone for some mitral valve replacement surgery. At the time of surgery, before the doctor asked the history at Max Hospital whether you're having any pre-existing diseases, and he said, yes, I was having congenital problem in the sense rheumatic heart disease. It's an infective problem.
He had a mitral valve replacement.
Yeah, so it is a secondary to the disease called rheumatic heart disease. So it's an infection in the childhood with the part of rheumatoid arthritis, and it causes a damage to the heart valve. So it was in the category of exclusion of pre-existing diseases. I should have told. So that's why the final authority, Justice Chandrachud, had rejected his claim, and he has not passed any, punishment as such. That claim.
But let me go to Mr. Mathur. That this whole list of exclusion which we talk about, and for a layman, people generally don't understand that what is there in the exclusion list and what is there as for which you can have a lock-in period, a waiting period. All these concepts, these are very technical. Maybe IRDA would understand, or maybe the insurance companies would understand. But how do you really make it comprehensible for a common man?
Yeah, actually, we are working on a new guidelines on exclusions.
Okay.
Shortly it will come, maybe by the end of this month or next month.
Okay.
There was a committee which was set up by the authority to study all the exclusions. So we have listed out what exclusions which cannot be there in a policy. Then we are trying to standardize all the policy wordings in the exclusions, so that the terms like directly or indirectly related to that disease or this disease should go away, and also the period which you have mentioned about the lock-in period and all these things will get standardized. Okay. So based on the recommendations of that committee, shortly a new guidelines on exclusions will come. Okay. For all the insurers, and it will simplify things.
But Mr. Mathur, if you could share with us on this particular program, this committee guidelines which you are talking about, if roughly you could indicate what are the list of diseases you are going to, put it as part of the exclusion list. Anything you can share with us on this program?
First thing, it will be like mental health, then congenital diseases which are court orders, and the acts of parliament. Okay. And then we will say like in congenital diseases which has not manifested at the time of taking the policy, cannot be an exclusion. So we have listed out such things, and shortly it will come. So let us wait for some time. But the report of the committee is there on our website that you can go through.
Okay. So the report is there on the website, but you've given a big news point on the program that these new guidelines will be in, wherein you all can see what the exclusion list will look like, and probably the things will get better as far as the health insurance sector is concerned. Would like to come to the audience again. You just heard what Mr. Mathur said. Yes, you want to say something?
Yes, I'm Priya. I'm a nutritionist by profession. Fortunately, अभी तक मुझे ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ी है ऐसी कि मैं hospitalized रहूँ. Yes, but when I was serving in a cancer hospital, what happened? Patient आता है, so many times cancer patient के पास कोई ऐसा early उसके पास ऐसा नहीं है, वो on and sudden chemotherapy का कोई side effect आया, patient आ गया. But what happened? मैडम अभी तक पेपर नहीं आया है, अभी तक ट्रीटमेंट स्टार्ट नहीं हो सकता. लेट्स वेट. आई थिंक अगर किसी के पास ऑलरेडी उसके पास पेपर्स हैं, उसने इंश्योरेंस लिया है, सो इन सच टाइप ऑफ द फेटल डिसीज़ कुछ ऐसा कॉलम होना चाहिए कि इन एनी ऑफ द टाइम विदाउट सबमिटिंग द पेपर्स और विदाउट फाइलिंग द पेपर्स उसको एटलीस्ट एक फर्स्ट एड मिल जाए, एक उसको केयर मिल जाए. बट नो, दे विल वेट फॉर द पेपर्स एंड पेशेंट का डिस्चार्ज हो गया. मैम, डिस्चार्ज हो गया ना, पेशेंट हॉस्पिटल के बाहर जा रहा है ना, उसको कोई सर्विस मिल रही है, बट दैट पेशेंट इज वेटिंग इन द वेटिंग एरिया. वाई? बिकॉज पेपर्स नहीं आए हैं अभी.
Yes,
it's happened, and I have seen for so many years in my hospital also. Right. It's for the layman person and the what T and C. These terms and clears are never clear, never ever clear. They always. And one more thing, insurance company can do that: segregate between symptoms, disease, and disorder. कोई भी चीज़, इवन इफ़ यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, आई कैन आस्क टू यू इवन डॉक्टर गगन कि इवन डायबिटीज़ भी है, देयर इज ऑलवेज फ्यू सिम्टम्स. तो वी कैन, इंश्योरेंस कंपनी कैन डिस्कस अबाउट द सिम्टम्स ऑल्सो कि आपको ये तो नहीं हो रहा है. ठीक है, फास्टिंग बीपी नहीं चेक किया है, HbA1c चेक किया है.
Yeah, I think I agree with her. It's very inhuman for anybody, from a patient's perspective, When I was hospitalized a couple of years back, I actually faced this, and I preferred paying the company, the hospital. So, but still at that point of view, you have to realize that India is the most human country in the world. We have the maximum number of claims, and the doctors are really good, and they're the hospitals are also decent. And these things, we are trying to remove these things. And Dr. Mathur and Sir also said, these things will take time because, guidelines are going to number of pages. Because when you have court cases against you or something, these small guidelines can benefit or can damage even the consumer. So I think the wise thing would be to read it carefully. You are going to pay not for 1 year, you have to pay for life. The best thing would be to have an insurance. And then if you're spending so much, why don't you spend time reading it up? And if you have problems, then you can, discuss with the agent or the company. Because you have to, it's your hard-earned money. And you have to make things clear. And if there is a genuine problem, there's insurance ombudsman, there are a lot of websites also, Quora forums, you can raise your point, and there are now YouTube channels, there's social media. I think the voice of the consumer is gigantic these days.
But I want to come to Mr. Ramachandran on the point which that lady over there raised. And it's a very valid point that, despite all the efforts which the insurance companies, put in to have all the faith there intact, but then also, incidents like these where patients have to wait just because papers have not arrived. How do you really explain these kind of situations, and especially when a person is unwell and that family is undergoing an economic strain, a financial strain, a health strain? You really don't comply with that situation very easily.
No, I think that is the moment of truth as far as insurance is concerned, and certainly my sympathies in terms of anyone who's having a bad experience. What I think will help, I think 2-3 things will help. One is technology.
Okay.
Because even today, although we are starting to get more and more technology, I think the handshake between insurers and hospitals is not fully technology enabled.
Okay.
So there is still paper, and the more we do away with paper and the more we adopt technology, and I know that there is work on what is called the India Health Stack going on. I think that will help a lot.
So you're saying there's not enough technology between the insurance companies and the hospitals?
Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah. The second thing I think is, in addition to standards with insurance companies, which the regulator and the companies are working on, I think it will be enormously helpful to have standards with the provider industry.
Okay.
So whether it's standard treatment protocols, whether it's standard discharge summaries, standard billing formats. So today you have to realize that the healthcare establishment is not regulated, and it's a state subject, and really there are no standards that we as insurance companies have to talk with them.
Right.
So the moment they standardize, we standardize, this handshake becomes smooth, and I think the consumer benefits from
You
this.
raised an important point, because we need to increase the health insurance in the country, that's a given. So let me go to Mr. Mathur, that Mr. Ramachandran was talking about a standardization which has to be adopted at the hospital level and at the providers level, at the insurance companies level. How do you see that standardization, getting encrypted in the system? How and when do you really see that happening? Because it's still in a very nascent stage.
Yeah. We are already working on this standardization which he has mentioned regarding the billing formats and the proposal forms and many things, the discharge summary and all. But and we have actually there is no health regulator as of now. So coordinating these things is slightly difficult. We have health forum,
okay,
where all stakeholders are involved, and we are trying to work with them. And this standardization should come, but it will take a bit of time.
But Mr. Mathur, as you say that of course it's taking time, and because you don't have a health regulator, so till the time the standardization format or the template is not set in, are you indicating at the fact that there will continue to be a situation where there is lack of transparency, lack of trust between the insurance companies and the clients and the consumers or the patients, if I could say?
No, I don't think there is a lack of trust or any thing which is not transparent.
Okay.
Everything is transparent, and as the earlier panelists have mentioned, that so many claims have been lodged and they have been paid. To tell you shortly, the number of claims in the financial year 17-18 is 1 crore 45 lakhs claims have been paid, and the amount of claims which have been paid in health insurance is more than 30 crores.
Right.
No, 30,244 crores claim that is the amount of claims which have been paid.
Right.
So I don't think there is lack of transparency or any mistrust between the insured and the insurer or any of the stakeholder. The system is working well. However, there are some issues which we are trying to sort out.
Okay.
And once the systems are in place and standardizations are in place, things will move smoothly.
Okay.
And more people will be covered. Now Ayushman Bharat has also kicked in. So things are going to improve from here.
Okay, we'll come back to you for more technical details on this and how it's going to impact the industry. Yes, ma'am, you were about to say something at that time.
I just want to add to what she has complained.
Right.
There are Supreme Court judgments which says that in case of emergency, doctor cannot deny treatment. And Supreme Court has issued order to the government also that gives too much of publicity to our judgment, that any doctor, whether in the government hospital or private hospital, in nursing home or in rural area, urban area, having his own clinic, if there is a case of emergency, they have to provide immediate treatment without thinking about the money who will pay to them.
Right.
Like in case of attempt to murder or suicide cases, attempt to suicide, murder, etc. cases, Supreme Court has issued the guideline. First, give the treatment, do whatever you can. If you have a small clinic, you can at least put bandage to the area where the blood is coming out. So do at least that and then refer to the other. So the same principle can be applied. The Supreme Court take the help of Article 21 of the Constitution, right to life. You are denying a person right to life by not giving immediate medical treatment.
Right.
And that we can use, that judgment we can use for insurance cases also.
But my question now to the audience is that are we really following the terms and conditions properly? Are we really taking the pains to read what the insurance company is offering? How much pain are we really, because the awareness level of the health insurance is very, very poor, very low. You ask anyone, they would not know what the terms and conditions are, what the insurance company is offering, or what the regulatory mechanism has to offer. Everything is there on the website, but they would not read. That's also one of the biggest drawbacks. Yes, yes, sir.
मैं सर संजीव त्यागी एडवोकेट फ्रॉम गाजियाबाद. मैं राम सर से एक क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहता हूँ. क्वेश्चन ये है कि जिस समय हम पॉलिसी लेते हैं उस समय मेडिकल चेकअप कंपलसरी है या ऑप्शनल है? कई बार जो एजेंट आते हैं वो कहते हैं कि ठीक है आप पॉलिसी ले लीजिए, जब प्रॉब्लम होती है चाहे प्री एग्जिस्टिंग हो या मतलब कॉमन प्रॉब्लम हो तो कहते हैं कि आपका टेस्ट नहीं हुआ. तो मैं सर से ही जानना चाहता हूँ कि ये टेस्ट कंपलसरी है या ऑप्शनल है? अगर कंपलसरी है तो वो इस बात को हिडन क्यों करते हैं?
ओके, यू वुड लाइक टू आंसर दिस?
देखिए सर, एवरी इंश्योरेंस कंपनी हैज़ एन अंडरराइटिंग प्रोसेस. वो अंडरराइटिंग प्रोसेस में 2-3 चीज़ होते हैं. एक है प्रपोजल फॉर्म विच हैज़ अ सेट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस विच नीड टू बी आंसर्ड करेक्टली. सेकंड इज़ इंश्योरेंस कंपनी मे चूज़ टू मेडिकली अंडरराइट, मेडिकल्स करा सकते हैं. द थर्ड इज़ द इंश्योरेंस कंपनी मे वांट टू टेलीफोन एंड स्पीक टू यू. द ओनली थिंग दैट इज़ कंपल्सरी इज़ द प्रपोजल फॉर्म. All the others, it depends on the insurer and the product. So the medicals are not compulsory. Telephonic conversation or tele-underwriting जो हम बोलते हैं, that is also not compulsory. That depends on the insurer and the product.
We have to accept the fact that this kind of a distrust which people have is because of the complexities which are seen in the terms and conditions which are already there on the paper. If you make it clear, delineate it properly, that look, this is black and white. Things are not in black and white. We have to accept that fact. So how do you really make it black and white? And I'll go at the beginning, to the beginning of the program, and you said that you want to make the model sustainable. And as the health insurance sector is in a very nascent stage, you're also looking for ways and means to survive in these choppy waters. So does it mean that you do it at the cost of the patients? And because things don't look very clear on paper.
So ma'am, I think as you said, the insurance industry is in India is quite young, and we also all have to recognize one thing, which is at the end of the day, insurance is a financing vehicle for medicine, which is actually quite complex. When you look at what we're trying to cover, medicine is art, science, something in between, and everything around it. So insurance is trying to cover that, and we're trying to do it as best as we can.
But when you,
standardization will help. Awareness and education will help, and certainly we are on the job, as Mr. Mathur said.
मैं अभी आ रही हूँ, but मैं ये जानना चाहती हूँ, जब इन्होंने मेडिसिन बोला, तो क्या जब पेशेंट्स प्रपोजल फॉर्म अपना भरते हैं, उनको क्या ये चीज़ें क्लियर है कि मेडिसिन का उनका क्लेम होगा और हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन का होगा, surgical procedures का होगा? Are we making things clear enough for the patients when they are filling up the proposal form? I don't think that's happening. I'll come to you, Dr. Malhotra, on this.
Ma'am, the process of simplification is a journey. I think we...
So, which means you are admitting that it's not happening?
I'm not admitting. No, I'm saying that can it improve? The answer to that is yes.
Okay.
Has it improved? The answer to that is yes as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a journey we'll have to look forward to. I'll come to you. Yes, Dr. Malhotra, you were trying to make a point.
What I was trying to add was to Madam's thing is there is a thing called GIPSA. GIPSA is this national insurance companies like Indian national insurance companies like United India Insurance and New India Insurance, Oriental Insurance. LIC also has these kind of policies. So there's a conglomerate called GIPSA. It has got network hospitals and PRP hospitals. So if you get a cash list, you have to go to check the list of network hospitals. But there's a problem. As a hospital perspective, I would like to say the rates offered by GIPSA and now the CGHS rates, DGHS rates, as well as the Delhi dark scheme rates, as well as the prospective Ayushman Bharat, they are not in sync with the times, the kind of surgical procedures and the advancements which is required, the kind of expectations from the medical community has also gone up, and our responsibility as a doctor has also gone up. His doctor has no role in deciding the cost.
Right.
He can be a paid person, and deciding cost are there multiple factors, and we are still the cheapest in the world. So right. There is another judgment which has, I think that notification or judgment has just come out. GIPSA has been overturned by the Ophthalmic Society 3 days back.
Right.
And because the rates offered and there was a nexus between GIPSA and between certain network hospitals, they wanted to push you towards one corporate hospital only. When the same facility is available at a cheaper rate in a nursing home or a small setup, why the company GIPSA wants to push towards a higher setup? Because right. of the nexus involved. So this is my perspective.
Mr. Mathur, you just heard what Dr. Malhotra was saying, what GIPSA and how they are, they don't have a uniformity as far as rates are concerned. Now, how would you standardize the rates? Because there are various companies which are offering insurance, and then you also have so many agencies, like you have a Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, then you have now what is coming up in Ayushman Bharat, then you have an ESIC. Now, can't we have a uniformity so that there is no confusion on the part of the patients or the people who are signing the proposal form? How do you look for that uniformity?
I think the uniformity about the rates is a very difficult thing, and as I mentioned, there is no health regulator, and it is beyond our mandate to prescribe any rates like this.
Okay.
Basically, it has to be decided between the stakeholders like the insurers and the hospitals.
Okay.
We cannot get into the rates, but rates are very important as it impacts the pricing of the policy. Like in Bombay, if you look, the cataract procedure is from 30,000 to 1,80,000. So now the standardization of rates is very difficult thing. But as the insurance grows in India, the insurers will have better say with the hospitals, and they will be in a better position to negotiate rates.
But sir,
as far as IRDA is concerned, we cannot get into this.
No, but Mr. Mathur, as an insurance regulator, you will definitely have a voice when these things are discussed. As you said, that we don't have a health regulator, and therefore probably you cannot breach that line which is drawn for you. But as a regulator, you can always lend your voice to the government on this, because it is an important issue. People will buy an insurance policy on the basis of how much premium they have to pay.
Yeah. Like in Ayushman Bharat, they have decided rates of various procedures. Around more than 1,300 procedures they have decided that this is the going to be the rate. Whichever hospital wishes to abide by those rates can join in.
Okay.
So that kind of thing has been done by Ayushman Bharat, but so far we have not got into this. But surely, as you have mentioned, we have a voice, and we talk to various stakeholders on this subject.
Okay. Yes. Somebody wanted to make a point here. Yes.
Nikki Davas, National Convener, All India Consumer Right Commission. So मैं ये कहना चाहूँगी कि IRDA ने एथिक्स एंड बायलॉज बहुत अच्छे से डिफाइन किए हैं, लेकिन जो एजेंट पॉलिसी सेल करने के लिए कंज्यूमर के पास जाता है वो कंज्यूमर को पूरी इन्फॉर्मेशन पर्टिकुलरली नहीं देता है. उसके पीछे उसकी अपनी ग्रीड है क्योंकि वो कमीशन पे काम करता है. कंपनीज उसको सैलरी पे नहीं रखती हैं, तो वो पॉलिसी बेचना उसकी अपनी कंपल्शन है. और जब तक पॉलिसी सेल नहीं होगी उसको कमीशन नहीं आएगा. तो जो लैकिंग पॉइंट है वो कंज्यूमर को, कस्टमर को शेयर ही नहीं करता. और जो प्लस पॉइंट है वो उसको मोटा मोटा बता दिया जाता है. कहीं टिक पॉजिटिव होता है, कहीं नहीं होता है. तो जिसको पॉलिसी लेना होता है वो बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं उसको स्टडी करता. और जो टेक्निकल टर्म्स हैं रिलेटेड टू द इंश्योरेंस, रिलेटेड टू द मेडिकल साइंसेस, वो एक लेमैन को समझ नहीं आता है.
Exactly.
तो वो कहता है कि मुझे एक बल्क अमाउंट बता दो, मुझे कितना पे करना है और मुझे और मेरी पूरी फैमिली को कवरेज दे दो, सो दैट आई एम रेडी टू पे द अमाउंट, बट आई नीड सिक्योरिटी. बट उस सिक्योरिटी में क्या क्या कवर होता है वो ना एजेंट बता पाता है, ना कंपनी उसको बताने के लिए गाइड करती है, बिकॉज वहाँ फोकस सिर्फ कमीशन पे रहता है.
आपने एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट उठाया जिसके लिए मैं जाऊंगी अब मिस्टर माथुर के पास. मिस्टर माथुर, यू मस्ट हैव जस्ट हर्ड दिस लेडी व्हाट शी वाज सेइंग कि जब पॉलिसी बेचने के लिए जब आपका एजेंट आता है तो वो एक्सप्लेन नहीं करता, वो लैक्यूनास नहीं समझाएगा, क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं उसके दिमाग में ये है कि उसे कमीशन मिलेगा, इंश्योरेंस कंपनी उसे कमीशन पे की. तो कमीशन इज द प्राइम फैक्टर व्हिच गाइड्स his principle of selling the policy to the patient. So how do you really regulate this? I mean, who is responsible? Are you going to regulate it, or it is going to be regulated at the end of the medical insurance company? इसको आप कैसे देखेंगे, कैसे explain करेंगे लोगों को?
नहीं, the agents basically are appointed by the insurance companies, and we have prescribed do's and don'ts for them.
Okay.
That what the agent should do. There is a code of conduct for them, which the insurers have to implement on them, and they have to train their agents. They should know about the product which they are selling. They have to arrange training programs, particularly for agents who are selling what kind of product.
But Mr. Mathur, can I interrupt you here? I'll just interrupt you here because this question came to my mind. It's a pricking question that जब आप कहते हैं कि उनकी training होनी चाहिए, is there an auditing of the training programs which are happening at the end of these insurance companies? क्योंकि अगर auditing नहीं हो रही है, उनको कैसे train किया जा रहा है, तो जो insurance companies होंगी वो एक positive report बना के दे देंगे कि yes, enough of training is happening.
No, this is all prescribed in the regulations, and insurance companies have to abide by these things. If it is not done, then we can take action on them.
So what is the penalty? What is the penalty you have for the insurance company then?
Yes. So they have to train their agents and what policy they are selling, and what are the features of that policy that the agent should know before he goes to the prospect.
Okay. Mr. Ramachandran, how will you really explain that?
No, so ma'am, I'm sorry that you have the opinion you have of agents. There are about 2 million agents in our country. Many of them, and I personally know many of them, and we as a company have about 60,000 of them. Many of them are hardworking, ethical professionals. You have to recognize that a good agent, if he has to sustain and earn an income from the insurance business, has to be able to settle a claim for the customer. That is how he earns his trust, and that is how in turn he gets new customers. So the source of new business for him is referrals from people whose claims have been settled. I think that is very important for us to recognize. Many of them are good, hardworking professionals. I'm sorry that your experience and your perception is different.
मैंने 2009 से 11 तक ICPRU में एज ए यूनिट मैनेजर काम किया. वहाँ पे जब हम एजेंट्स को ट्रेंड करते थे IRDA एग्जामिनेशन के लिए, यू विल सरप्राइज टू लिसन दैट एजेंट्स वर हार्डली क्लियरिंग दैट एग्जामिनेशन आफ्टर गेटिंग 40% मार्क्स, एंड दे हैज़ टू बी ट्रेन्ड बिफोर गेटिंग एग्जामिनेशन.
Maybe Mr. Ramachandran, Apollo Munich would be having good agents, but what about other agencies?
There are good lawyers, there are bad lawyers, good chartered accountants, bad chartered accountants.
I want to
move on to the next point. I want to move on to the next point.
कंपनी का मोटिव सिर्फ पॉलिसी सेल करना रह जाता है और टू गेट द कमीशन पार्ट ऑन.
Okay, we'll move on to the next point. We will move on to the next point. Dr. Malhotra, you want to make a point here, and what she's saying that the way the policies, health policies, are sold to the people. How do you win the trust then?
Ma'am, actually, consumer behavior is changing rapidly after social media interventions.
Okay.
People are more knowledgeable these days, and they use WhatsApp so often. I think they should be exploring more of internet or Google or whatever search engines they use to actually compare the policies, have a draft, and ask their friends how their experience is. Like I got policy for my family as a floater policy for something. Now I realized after 4 years in that policy is actually will not help me if I have a heart disease or a critical illness. Now I'm going to change my policy. So the thing is that to update your information as it comes. Because,
but Dr. Malhotra, when you talk about the consumer behavior that is changing, I would like to cite a data, and I'll come to the audience. That, you know, the respondents who said that most important insurance, which is the most important insurance in the country here right now, is life insurance. People say 41% people say that is important, but health insurance, only 36% people say that is important. They would go for vehicle insurance, that is 37%. They would not go for health insurance. So how do you really change this behavior? I'll go to Mr. Mathur.
Just add,
yes, ma'am. You want to make a point?
So we've been
quick
talking.
2-3 points.
We've been talking a lot about a complex form to fill in. So we're all pretty educated people. We can ask opinions and take a call. And if a claim is not put through, we can go to an ombudsman. But that's because we're mentally stable. I'm sorry to go back to we're talking about 10 to 15% of the population who have mental illnesses. There's been a historical wrong in India. They have not been covered for physical ailments, for hospitalization. And I don't think we can just sweep this away. We're talking about 10 to 15% of the population.
Rajya Sabha TV had done a completely separate program on dealing with the insurance of the mental health patients. So, you know, as far as raising the awareness levels are concerned, we've done our bit. We'll continue to do
I'm
that.
Sure you have,
we have all the respect for what the points you're raising here, but we have to move on to the larger aspects of health insurance. Quick 1 or 2 points.
Thank you very much for all your coverage, but till date, nothing has been done. Now, 17 and 18, you know, the IRDA also they have cleared, but till there is no any product for the mentally ill patients.
But you heard Mr. Mathur from...
They said ki yes, it is into the process, but how much time it will take to get all the things.
Okay, let me go back with this question. Let me go back with this question to Mr. Mathur.
They have also the physical ailments.
You've heard these anxious people who are sitting here in the audience. Can you just give them a timeline as to when these things will be implemented as far as the mental health patients are concerned? The insurance for them is concerned.
I think giving a timeline is very difficult, but the process is on. Basically, we need to create more and more awareness with the insurers and with the insured population that this is covered and this is available.
Okay.
So
yes, Mr. Ramachandran.
Mr.
Ramachandran wants to make a point. Yes.
No, I think, ma'am, there are
wait, one by one.
Just to clarify what Mr. Mathur said. First of all, mental illness is covered for hospitalization. I think that's very important to know. All insurers are required by law and by regulation to cover mental illness. There can be no distinction as far as physical or mental illness is concerned. It is happening, ma'am. It is required. You should take appropriate regulatory or legal recourse if that's not the case. It is mandated. Number 2, outpatient care for mental illness, outpatient care at large in India is not covered under insurance. So I think these are 2 important points.
I'll go to the audience. 1 or 2 quick. No, आप बात कर चुके हैं. मैं कुछ लोगों से बात करूंगी जिन्होंने अभी तक बात नहीं की.
मेरा इसमें मेन चीज जो है इसमें जो इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी इट्स ए कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बिटवीन दो पार्टीज एंड इसमें सबसे बड़ी कंसिडरेबल अमाउंट हम देते हैं. तो हमें डिजीज को कॉम्प्लिकेट क्यों करना है? डिजीज आफ्टर ऑल ए डिजीज. तो हम जो इस पॉइंट को ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेट करते हैं, जब कोई पॉलिसी लेने के बाद और हॉस्पिटल जाता तो सबसे पहले हम उसको कॉम्प्लिकेट करने की कोशिश ना करें. सबसे बड़ी चीज़, हमने इतनी बड़ी सिस्टम जो है, या राइडर लगाना है तो पहले ही राइडर लगा दें, हम उसके लिए एक गाइडलाइन फिक्स कर दें. हमने पहले ही उसको कॉम्प्लिकेट कर दिया है, जिसके कारण ये कोर्ट में केसेस जाते हैं.
ये बात से मैं बिल्कुल अग्री करती हूँ कि चीजें कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है, इसीलिए पेशेंट्स को प्रॉब्लम हो रही है. But as has been promised by Mr. Mathur here, that certain new guidelines are coming in, and because the health insurance sector is in a very young stage right now, things maybe they are evolving, but as patients, as clients also, there are certain responsibilities which we need to follow. Ma'am, Kiran, I would like to ask you, what are the things, 2-3 quick lines or the tips which you can give to the people here who are sitting in the audience as to what all things they need to keep in mind when they are filling up a proposal form so that they don't have to go disheartened?
As all of us know that insurance is a contract, and it is a special kind of contract. And interest of the insured is much more involved than the insurer. So we have to be very careful while filling up our proposal form. we should disclose everything and we should try to understand what are the terms and conditions and agree to that. Actually, there is a High Court, Delhi High Court, recent Delhi High Court judgment, wherein the court, Delhi High Court has said that all hospitals which are registered with the government,
okay,
and all the hospitals are registered with the government, they have to respect the insurance policy.
Okay.
Generally what happens, the insurer, they provide that if you take treatment from this hospital, this, only these hospitals are covered, other hospitals are not covered. And which is true for employers also, for corporate houses also. They specify the hospitals. But the Delhi High Court said that you cannot specify the hospital, even if the hospital in which you are taking treatment does not fall in that category of hospitals.
Okay.
The insurer has to pay the amount which you have spent on your
I'm
medical.
really running short of time. Let me take the closing comments.
Otherwise also,
Mr. Mathur,
not even in case of an
Mr.
emergency.
Mathur, how do you really
cases.
promise the people that things will be facilitated properly towards the last leg of the program we are in? So what would you like to tell the people sitting here in the audience and also the millions of viewers who will watch this program?
Yeah, the most important thing that the prospect should take informed choice, as has already been mentioned by other panelists.
Okay.
That it has to be informed choice for from the side of the insured. They should see the policy conditions, features, and exclusions in every policy before they decide on this. Similarly, they should disclose their personal history, the health history, and occupational history of the of themselves to the insurer, so that there is no mistrust or there is no issues once the policy is issued. We have already prescribed 15 days cooling off period also, which is a free look period. If they think that this policy does not suit them, they can within 15 days they can give reasons to the insurance company and take back their money also.
Okay. Dr. Malhotra, your closing comments? What would you like to tell
I would like to say to the audience, because, insurance is your personal choice to take, and it should be used very wisely. The consumer behavior which I was just mentioning was that we sit in the OPDs. We now have, when people come to us, sir, the child has this problem, so can you admit him and get the investigations done? So this is not ethically correct. Right. So be true to yourself. Insurance is for your own good. And if there are a lot of companies which increase the premium if you use a false claim, and there are a lot of network hospitals which do a fraudulent practice. As a pediatrician, as a physician, IMA member, I know fraud is taking place. We have blacklisted hospitals by the insurance companies, by the IRDA itself also. So be wise and choose, and health is your own choice, and prevention is better than cure. Be healthy and stay healthy, not requiring insurance.
Mr. Ramachandran, we'll close the program with you. Yes.
No, I just want to say that insurance and healthcare are important industries. They are industries that matter. They are industries that work. Please trust us. All of your comments and suggestions are very valuable, and we can only move forward from here.
So, undoubtedly, we need a robust health insurance system which is facilitating and at the same time changes the mindset of the people in terms of awareness as well. Remember, health insurance is a key to remain free of financial, health, and economic stress. That's all the time we have for on this week's Pulse. You can send us your feedback on the email ID flashing on your screens. You can write to us on our Facebook page and the YouTube page as well. Thanks to all my guests, Mr. Mathur, who joined us from Hyderabad. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Dr. Malhotra, Dr. Kiran, and Mr. Ramachandran. A big thank you to all of you for being here on the program. And a wonderful audience joining us on the program. A big round of applause to you as well. And I'm really sorry I've not been able to take all your questions. Apologies, and we'll give you another time, another chance on the same program. Goodbye, and thanks for your time.